Adventure bikes aren't built the same. Some Japanese adventure motorcycles feel incredible on a short test ride, but leave your back, wrists, and shoulders aching after 200 miles. Others are engineered so well that riders over 50 quietly put 50,000 miles on them and never feel punished for it. After studying long-term owner patterns, feedback, and a variety of other factors that affect motorcycle performance, I'm going to show you the 9 most comfortable Japanese adventure bikes for men over 50, the ones that actually make riding easier, not harder. Please watch until the end, because the number 1 bike on this list is the one that balances power, comfort, and manageability better than anything else here, and it's not the biggest or the most expensive. If you still love riding, but you want to feel good the next morning, this list is for you. Let's start with number 9. Number 9. Honda Transalp 750. There's a moment most riders hit in their early 50s. You still want real adventure capability. You just don't want to wrestle 600 pounds of motorcycle every time you leave the pavement. That's where the Transalp 750 makes a lot of sense. Honda built it around a 755cc parallel twin that produces about 90 horsepower. But here's what matters more than the number. It delivers that power smoothly and predictably. No sharp spikes, no surprise surges, just steady pull that feels confident instead of chaotic. At roughly 460 pounds wet, it's light enough to maneuver in parking lots without straining your lower back, yet substantial enough to feel planted on the highway. That balance is crucial after 50. You want stability, not intimidation. The upright ergonomics are neutral and natural. Your knees aren't cramped, your hips stay open, your shoulders stay relaxed, and the seat height, while adventure ready, doesn't feel towering when you stop at a light. Honda also kept the throttle response refined. That matters because twitchy fueling is exhausting over time. The Transalp feels calm at low speeds and composed on the open road. Suspension travel is generous enough to absorb broken pavement, railroad crossings, and gravel roads without transmitting sharp hits to your spine. You can ride for hours without feeling like you've been through a workout. Maintenance follows Honda's practical formula. Long service intervals, proven engineering, no unnecessary complication. This isn't the biggest bike on this list. It's the one that reminds you adventure can still feel easy. And as we move up the list, the next machine brings more torque, more highway comfort, and a reputation for running almost forever. Number 8. Suzuki V-Strom 800. There's a difference between a bike that feels powerful and one that feels usable. After 50, usable wins every time. The Suzuki V-Strom 800 hits that sweet spot almost perfectly. It runs a 776cc parallel twin that makes strong mid-range torque without demanding high revs to feel alive. You don't have to ring it out to pass traffic. You don't have to plan every overtake. It just rolls forward with calm authority. And that calm matters. At around 490 pounds wet, it's heavier than the Transalp, but the weight carries low and balanced. Slow speed turns don't feel top-heavy. U-turns don't feel like a gamble. You're not wrestling it, you're guiding it. The real advantage for riders over 50 is how composed it feels over imperfect pavement. The suspension soaks up expansion joints, frost heaves, and rough back roads without transferring every impact directly to your spine. Long days don't feel like physical punishment. Ergonomically, the V-Strom 800 keeps things neutral. Upright bars, relaxed knee angle, a seat wide enough to distribute pressure instead of concentrating it in your tailbone. After 300 miles, you're still riding, not counting the minutes to the next gas stop. The engine character is another win. Suzuki tuned it for smoothness over drama. Minimal vibration at highway speeds means your hands stay comfortable and mirrors stay clear. That reduction in fatigue is something younger riders overlook, but experienced riders notice immediately. Electronics are modern but not overwhelming. You get traction control, ride modes, and ABS without needing a computer science degree to operate the bike. Maintenance remains straightforward, and Suzuki's track record with V-Strom durability speaks for itself. The V-Strom 800 doesn't try to impress with flash, it impresses by making long days feel shorter. And the next bike on this list takes that same comfort philosophy and wraps it in a platform riders have trusted for decades. Number 7. Yamaha Tenere 1200. There's a certain kind of rider who stops chasing trends around 50. You're not looking for flashy, you're looking for something that just works every time you hit the starter. That's the Yamaha Tenere 1200. This bike was built around an 1199cc parallel twin with a 270-degree crank, and it makes about 110 horsepower. But the number isn't what matters. What matters is how relaxed it feels at 75 miles per hour. The engine isn't screaming, it's barely working, and when an engine lives most of its life below stress, it tends to last. At around 575 pounds wet, it's not light. But here's the secret. Once it's rolling, it feels planted, not heavy. Crosswinds don't shove it around, rough pavement doesn't rattle it offline. It tracks straight and steady, the way a long-distance bike should. And then there's the shaft drive. No chain adjustment, no chain lube on your rear wheel, no crawling around on the garage floor every 600 miles. For riders over 50, that simplicity matters more than bragging rights. The upright ergonomics are neutral and spacious. Your knees aren't folded tight, your hips stay comfortable, the wide saddle spreads pressure evenly, which means 400-mile days don't feel like an endurance test. The suspension is tuned for real roads, not Instagram gravel shots. It absorbs expansion joints and broken asphalt without sending sharp jolts up your spine. You arrive less fatigued, and that's the whole point. The Super Tenere doesn't shout, it just keeps going. And if you're enjoying this list so far, take a second to save it for later, hit subscribe, and share it with a riding buddy who plans on doing this for another 20 years. We make content for riders who still love performance, just without the punishment. If this list is helping you narrow things down, take a second to save it so you can come back to it later. Subscribe if you're not already. We made this and a number of other videos specifically for you guys over 50 who want performance without punishment. Check out the main channel page for more on other videos. Hit the like button if this is your kind of riding. And make sure you share it with a buddy who might be looking for one of these right now. Now let's move to a bike that blends that same maturity with a lighter feel and a little more edge. Number 6. Suzuki V-Strom 650 XT. There's a reason experienced riders keep coming back to the V-Strom 650. Not because it's flashy, not because it's the biggest, but because it makes long days feel manageable. Suzuki's 645cc 90-degree V-twin puts out around 70 horsepower, and it delivers it in a smooth, linear way that never feels rushed. You don't have to chase high RPM to make progress. Roll the throttle, and it responds calmly. That predictability is gold after 50. Sudden power spikes are fun at 30, they're tiring at 58. At roughly 470 pounds wet, the V-Strom sits in that Goldilocks weight range. Heavy enough to feel stable on the interstate, light enough that a tight parking lot doesn't raise your heart rate. If it tips over in gravel, it's still something you can manage without calling for backup. What makes the 650 XT stand out is how it treats your body over time. The wide supportive saddle distributes weight evenly, which means fewer pressure points after 3 or 4 hours in the saddle. The upright bar position keeps your wrists neutral and your shoulders relaxed. Your knees aren't jammed into a sport bike crouch. Everything feels natural. Then there's that V-twin balance. Minimal vibration at highway speeds means your hands don't go numb and your mirrors stay clear. That reduction in fatigue adds up mile after mile. The suspension isn't race-tuned, and that's a good thing. It absorbs broken pavement, patched roads, and expansion joints without transferring every jolt into your lower back. The V-Strom 650 XT doesn't try to impress anyone at a coffee shop. It impresses you at mile 300, when you realize you're still comfortable and still enjoying it. And the next bike builds on that same comfort philosophy, but with even more low-end torque and everyday practicality. Number 5. Kawasaki Versys 650. Let's be honest, there's a point after 50 where you stop trying to impress anyone and start riding for yourself. That's exactly where the Versys 650 shines. Kawasaki's 649cc parallel twin makes about 66 horsepower, but the real story isn't the number, it's how alive the bike feels without feeling demanding. Twist the throttle and it moves, clean, eager, responsive, but never jerky, never abrupt. At roughly 465 pounds wet, this is the kind of bike that makes you feel capable again. Parking lots don't feel stressful, U-turns don't feel like strategy sessions. It's light enough to manage, heavy enough to feel planted on the highway. And here's where it really wins for over 50 riders. The riding position is upright and open. Your hips aren't cramped, your knees aren't folded tight, your wrists aren't carrying your upper body weight. You sit in the bike, not on top of it. The seat foam is supportive without feeling stiff, and the adjustable windscreen actually makes a difference at 75 miles per hour. Wind hits your helmet, not your chest, which means less shoulder tension and fewer neck aches at the end of the day. Then there's the smoothness. That parallel twin is surprisingly refined at cruising speeds. No buzzing handlebars, no blurry mirrors, just steady, predictable forward motion. This is the bike that makes you think, yeah, I could do 400 miles today. Not because you have to, because you want to. And as we move into the top 4, things get a little bigger, a little more powerful, but comfort never leaves the conversation. Number 4. Honda NC750X. Now here's where things get interesting, because the NC750X isn't trying to be exciting, it's trying to be smart. And after 50, smart starts looking a lot more attractive. Honda's 745cc parallel twin makes about 58 horsepower, but the magic is in where it makes it. Peak torque shows up low in the rev range, right where you cruise. That means no frantic downshifting, no high RPM drama, just steady, relaxed forward motion that feels effortless. And effortless is the word here. At just under 500 pounds wet, the NC750X carries its weight low thanks to its unique fuel tank placement under the seat. That low center of gravity makes slow-speed riding feel ridiculously manageable. Parking lot turns feel lighter than the scale suggests. Gravel roads feel less intimidating. Then there's the riding position. Neutral bars, relaxed knee bend, a seat that spreads weight instead of punishing your tailbone. You don't feel folded, you don't feel stretched, you feel balanced. And here's the part riders over 50 really appreciate: smoothness. The engine is tuned for efficiency, not aggression. It hums along at highway speeds with minimal vibration, which means your hands stay comfortable and your shoulders stay relaxed. Less tension, less fatigue, more miles. The wind protection is practical without being bulky, and the overall character of the bike feels calm, predictable, cooperative. And if you opt for the DCT version, you eliminate clutch work entirely. In traffic, on long days, when your left hand just doesn't want to squeeze 500 more times. The NC750X isn't about ego. It's about riding longer with less effort. And as we move it to the top 3, we start adding more power and more highway authority, without giving up the comfort that keeps you coming back tomorrow. Number 3. Suzuki V-Strom 1050 XT. Now we step into serious highway comfort. The V-Strom 1050 XT isn't subtle about what it's built for. It's built for distance. Suzuki's 1037cc 90-degree V-twin makes about 106 horsepower, and more importantly, 74 pound-foot of torque. That torque shows up early and pulls smoothly. You don't have to wring it out. You don't have to think about it. Twist the throttle and it moves with calm authority. After 50, that kind of effortless power feels right. At roughly 545 pounds wet, yes, it's bigger. But Suzuki carries the weight low, and once you're moving, it feels planted, not lumbering. Crosswinds don't push it around. Passing at 75 miles per hour doesn't require planning. It just does the job. And here's where it really earns its spot in the top 3. The saddle is wide and genuinely supportive. Not showroom soft, real-world comfortable. The kind that still feels good after 300 miles. The upright handlebar position keeps pressure off your wrists, and the natural knee angle means you're not folding yourself into an uncomfortable crouch. The suspension is fully adjustable, and that matters. Whether you're riding solo, 2-up, or carrying luggage, you can dial it in so the bike works for you, not against your lower back. And that 90-degree V-twin layout, it's naturally balanced. Minimal vibration at cruising speeds, clear mirrors, no buzzing grips. That reduction in fatigue isn't dramatic at mile 20. It's dramatic at mile 350. This is a bike that makes long rides feel stable, composed, and controlled. You finish the day tired in a good way. And now we're down to the final 2, where performance and comfort stop competing and start working together. Number 2. Yamaha Tracer 9 GT Plus. Now we're talking about the rider who still wants a little fire in the engine. Because turning 50 doesn't mean you stopped loving acceleration, it just means you want it delivered without punishment. The Tracer 9 GT Plus runs Yamaha's 890cc CP3 triple, pushing out around 117 horsepower. But what makes this engine special isn't just the power, it's how smooth and usable it feels. The torque comes in strong and steady. Passing power is instant. Yet at cruising speeds, it settles down and feels composed. You get excitement without chaos. At roughly 495 pounds wet, it's significantly lighter than most full-size adventure tourers. That lighter feel shows up everywhere, in low-speed maneuvering, on twisty roads, and everyday riding. It feels athletic without feeling demanding. And then there's the comfort layer. The seat is sculpted and supportive, not an afterthought. The upright bar position keeps your wrists neutral. The adjustable windscreen actually changes your airflow enough to matter at 75 miles per hour. You can fine-tune the bubble instead of just accepting the wind blast. The electronically adjustable suspension adapts to road conditions and riding style. Hit rough pavement and it absorbs it. Pick up the pace and it firms up. That means less shock transmitted through your spine and more confidence in corners. Heated grips, cruise control, advanced rider aids, they aren't gimmicks here. They're tools that extend your riding season and reduce fatigue over long days. The Tracer 9 GT Plus is for riders who refuse to choose between comfort and performance. It gives you both. And now we're down to number 1, the bike that blends maturity, manageability, and long-distance confidence better than anything else on this list. Number 1. Honda Africa Twin. There's a reason this bike keeps showing up in serious riders' garages. Not because it's trendy, not because it's flashy, because it feels right. The Honda Africa Twin hits the sweet spot between capability and comfort better than almost anything in the Japanese adventure lineup. The 1084cc parallel twin makes around 101 horsepower, and it delivers it in a way that feels strong but controlled. The torque comes in low and builds smoothly. You don't get sudden spikes, you get confidence. Roll it on at highway speed and it just goes. No hesitation, no drama. At roughly 505 pounds wet, standard model, it's big enough to feel planted but not so heavy that it feels overwhelming. The balance is excellent, slow speed handling feels natural, gravel roads don't feel intimidating. You're in control, not managing a monster. And for riders over 50, control equals comfort. The riding position is open and upright. Your hips stay neutral, your knees aren't folded tight. The bars come to you instead of forcing you to reach. You can stand comfortably when the road gets rough, and you can sit for hours without feeling locked into one position. The suspension is where the bike really earns its spot. It absorbs broken pavement, expansion joints, and rough back roads without transmitting every hit into your spine. You finish long rides feeling like you rode, not like you survived. Honda's engineering focus shows everywhere. Smooth fueling, predictable throttle response, strong brakes, and if you opt for the DCT version, you remove clutch work entirely. A feature many experienced riders quietly appreciate more than they expected. The Africa Twin doesn't scream for attention. It simply does everything well. Power when you want it, comfort when you need it, confidence everywhere. That's why it takes the number 1 spot. 9 bikes proving one thing. Turning 50 doesn't mean slowing down. It means riding smarter. That's the 9 most comfortable Japanese adventure bikes for men over 50. The goal isn't to ride less, it's to ride longer and feel good doing it. If you enjoyed this video, save this so you can come back to it again later. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with a riding buddy who's daydreaming about his next sweet ride. And when you're done here, head over to the main channel page. There are more videos on the bikes everyone is in love with. Ride smart, ride strong, and I'll see you in the next one.